Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and today I'm going to take you through everything that you missed in the Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom trailer that they just dropped. What was it, like Tour of Hyrule or something? I think I'll find out in a moment. Let's not faff around any longer, let's begin! Yeah, Tour of Hyrule, so I was right at the very least. Funnily enough, there's nothing really to see at this point, but we do get to see something here. So this is obviously some sort of overview of Hyrule. However, I do not think it's actually it's not the actual world. It's some sort of scaled back version, because as you can see through, well, all the trees and everything are much sort of more basic. The paths don't really seem to lead anywhere in the same traditional sense, and there's no enemies around any either, so this is clearly some sort of like stripped back version that is not actually the whole of Hyrule. It's just a sort of like a sort of a lower density version. And here we get another shot, same again, as I mentioned, you know, sort of like the stripped back detail and everything like that. But we do get to see something else new, apart from Princess Zelda there, but that's pretty self-explanatory. This is quite interesting. That's a bombable wall. I don't know why they're showing that in this sort of stripped back version. I'm guessing it's going to be some sort of part of the tutorial, but again, that is merely an assumption, but that is clearly some sort of destructible wall. We get to see a little fish up here. It's not a big deal, but it's something, isn't it? One thing I do want to note here very quickly is that, as you can see here, Tri has 4 tries behind them. That's something just to keep in mind as we go forward. It's nothing to see right now. Oh, and we get another big inclusion. Obviously, we mentioned this in the in the video where we just talked about it. There's a cat! And it gets better than that. There's a bird as well. But it gets better than that still. As you'll see in a second, there's another cat in the top corner. I can't believe it. We also get to see the Gerudo for the first time. Not a big deal. We do get to see a side entrance here, though, which is reasonably interesting. Is that another way to get in? Are we not going to be able to go through the main entrance to begin with? We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. We get to see some little enemies here. They're not quite Tektites, but they're similar. But we do now get to finally see these tries in action, and also have a little look up here as well. So you see how there are 2 tries up there with the above the Moblin icon, and there are 4 tries behind Tri. They're not making this easy, are they? When it's spawned, the Moblin now has these 2 little things above it. Tri now only has 2. Any maths fans out there will have realized that 4 minus 2 is 2, so the Moblin's using up 2. It's not that big a deal, but it's still something worth noting. We do get to see, this is another fast travel point, we'll see those later on. Another shop up here as well, which is vaguely interesting, but only vaguely. I'm presuming it's a shop. It's manned by Hylian at least, and presumably maybe selling fruit for the smoothie system. We'll see that later on. And we get to see, again, the tries will be used, so there's one up here for the bed, and the bed will then have a single try over it. But also keep an eye on this Gerudo. Only a small detail, but you'll see that there's a shocked expression, which is fun. That was something that was in Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom as well. And it's just a nice little detail. It's a little bit of flavor, you know? And again, the single try above the bed, suggesting that this was using a single try. We get to see a different kind of bird. Twice. We get to see a Tektite here. Not a big deal. Don't even need to circle it. Oh, actually, there's one thing that I just overlooked there for a moment. Here we see some sort of doorway, obviously. But there we are. That's the Zora symbol, which is also Nehru's symbol, which is not, again, unexpected, but still, nice little thing to notice. This is interesting. Right here, we have some sort of, presumably, seaweed. It's some sort of leaf-based thing. It might not. Could be some sort of fish, maybe, but it does appear to be some sort of purchasable item because, well, I mean, as much as anything, you got the shop icon there, you got a blue potion there, red potion there. Now, it is far from clear what the blue potion will do, because as far as we know, there isn't any mana in the game. Obviously, Tri has tries, and there are 4 behind there again. But Tri and the tries that Tri has are nothing to do with blue, so it's going to be interesting to see what the blue potion does. It also kind of suggests that there are going to be bottles in the game. Again, not surprising, but nice to see. We also get to see our named characters. So this is clearly, this River Zora here, clearly some sort of royalty. Look at that cape. That's a cape right there. And the same with this Sea Zora here. That's some sort of little crown or tiara. And little butler with a bow tie. Nice detail. They're having some sort of argument. This is Drad. Who'd have thought it? Moving on here, we get to see these guys again. I can never remember the name of these things, but they were in Link's Awakening. I could have looked it up in advance. I didn't. We get our first look at Kakariko Village as well. Again, more shops. There are shops everywhere. Cuckoos are back. We pretty much know that from later on in the video as well, but we'll get into that. More NPCs. Interestingly, this well is blocked up. And it's not entirely clear. Well, it's not entirely clear why. It's completely unclear why. I've just seen another cat. Interestingly, this Goron is clearly going to be important because, again, named Darston. And Rock Roast. You did not need me to point that out, because he even pointed out in the dialogue. We get a look at Farron Wetlands as well, and we get to see a fish here very similar to the one that we saw in Gerudo Desert, but this one's blue. Again, very similar to the ones that you would find in Gapungo Swamp in Link's Awakening. Oh, more birds as well. We get to see a parrot. And another parrot. Only a minor thing, but this berry seems to stick out a bit. I don't think it's a background element, so it's clearly some sort of interactable object. Could it be a pickup, like something that you're going to use in a smoothie? We don't know. We can only assume and make some guesses, but I don't think that this is just a background element. It's too prominent, you know? Unfortunately, we don't get to see any named Deku Scrubs, which is a shame, and there's not really much else to see in that area. There's a spider's web. Again, not a big deal. The big stuff comes later on, guys. This is interesting. When I first saw this, I thought, oh, this character is looking for something or someone called Bok. That's not the case, as we can tell later on. In fact, they're making the calls of a Cucco, which will make more sense as we get into it. It's talking about quests now. And yeah, big quests like, oh no, all the torches have gone out. We mentioned this in the video that we had before, but this is so Breath of the Wild Tears of the Kingdom, in its design and everything like that. Not entirely surprising. Interestingly, this is a main quest, and we will see that there are more than one kind of quest, which, again, not entirely surprising, but still, it's details. And they say great and small, and they say there are so many monsters here. We can't necessarily see all the monsters, but as far as we can see, there's only one. Get over yourself. We do get to see here as well a side quest, again pointing out that there are two kinds of quests at least, maybe more. We also get to see what could be some sort of Deku Baba up here as an echo, which is pretty cool. I don't think they've mentioned Deku Babas. Maybe they were in a previous trailer and I just overlooked it. I don't know, but we also... Look at this! That is Zelda! 100%, that is Zelda! Why is Zelda on some sort of poster? It's not the only time we'll see that either. We get a closer look at the quests here as well, and the UI, and no doubt we can see that the Mysterious Rifts here is some sort of quest that presumably branches off into that and that quest there. Because they're both about rifts, it just makes logical sense. We get side quests as well. We know what Upper Wall is. That's the guy trying to hide from the one moblin. Tornado Ghost, we do actually get to see reference later on. Cucko's on the loose. I think that this is what that guy was looking for. He's going, Bok, Bok, come back. And it does sort of suggest he's looking for something called Bok. But I think it's the cuckoo noise, isn't he? He's making a cuckoo noise to try and attract them. It wouldn't be a Zelda game without a cuckoo-based mission. We do also get to see reference to somewhere called Southern Village, which will also come up later on, as well as Southern Forest. Doesn't seem to be playing off any, like, characters in Zelda, like Jabal Waters is referencing Jabun and stuff like that, and Jabu Jabu. I think this is just, well, it's in the south, it's southern. Now, this is where we get to see reference to, Tornado Ghost, as we saw before. Simple as that. This is where you get the quest from. Wowzers trousers. There is one other thing, though, here that I do want to point out, and that is this jar up here. Just keep an eye on it, and you'll see some little particles flying around that are triangles. They look just like Tri's triangles. And I do want to double check very quickly. I'm fairly certain that Tri still has... Yeah, there are still 4... tries behind try. So what is this going to be for? This is a really interesting mystery, because you'd sort of think, oh, maybe it's, you know, to replenish tries, but as we'll see, you don't need to replenish tries. It could be to increase the number of tries you have, but then I think we'd see more variants in the trailer anyway, unless they were being particularly restricted with themselves. Again, we don't know, but I think it's clear that it's Tri-adjacent at the very least. It's not just cat love, we also get to see a dog here as well, which are not uncommon in the Zelda series, and another poster of Zelda, which we get to see a little bit more when it pans out. Well, it doesn't pan out, it just shows it like that. But yeah, there it is again. There's the Zelda poster. This little lad wants to see a Zol. That's a Zol. There is actually something to note on this screen as well, and that's the artwork here for Try only has 3 tries behind Try, which is unusual. It's the same in all of the promotional material that I've seen, and yet in the gameplay we're seeing 4. So it suggests, again, yeah, look, 4. There's no argument there. It suggests that you get 4, or at least you get more tries, which you would expect, but it's still nice to have that confirmed, you know? Waypoints. Now, this shot may not look the most interesting, but it has a surprising amount of information. It is a map after all. So first of all, we see some sort of heart-shaped pond, and we can be fairly certain, due to the design of these trees here, that this is going to be in Farron. So this is going to be the Farron wetlands. So is this heart-shaped pond, is that a reference to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where there was, like, Lover's Pond? I don't know, it could be. We also get to see more reference to Southern Village and Southern Beach, so there's more Southern stuff here. We also get to see what's nice is that even though all of this stuff, none of this stuff is unlocked right here, we can see basic shapes around here. So for example, we know that this body of water looks like that, despite the fact we haven't uncovered this particular part of the map. It's the same with this bit of this sort of ridge. It goes along here. We know that it's going to be that shape and it carries on like that. It's just useful to have a little bit of information before you completely unlock everything, and I'm a big fan of that. We can also see what appears to be some sort of like ranch maybe up here, something similar to Lon Lon Ranch or something like that. Again, we can't be absolutely certain, but it has that sort of distinctive archway that so many ranches in the Zelda games have. And you don't really need me to point this out, but we can see all the sort of like rifts, the purple goo rifts here as well, which is going to be useful because maybe over time you'll be able to close them. Again, we don't know, but it's useful information to have regardless. We can even see another one down there. Different bird. Now, there's this sort of cliff thing here, which we've seen prior in Eldin Volcano, or at least the Eldin area, and clearly it's some sort of climbable surface, but we don't yet know if Zelda can actually climb them or not. It's going to be interesting because we know that climbing can become a little bit academic because the spider just seems to be able to climb everything, but even so, it's possible that there's an echo that can climb these that you get before you get access to the spider, or something like that. We don't know. Either way, that's a climbable wall. We also get to see that Zelda apparently doesn't take full damage. How about that? Horse. We get to see a Zol here get absolutely decimated, and indeed, rupees. We knew they were in the game anyway, but it shows that you can get them from enemies and not just from selling stuff. So that's a point on the map. And you get to see a horse jumping. Now here is where we get to see that tries don't need replenishing. So you see the Try has 4 tries here. 1 try to generate the carrot, simple as that. And then when the carrot is produced, there's a try above it, and there are only 3 on Try now, which is what you would expect. But then, when Horsey comes over, the Try comes right back, baby. We get to see some smoothie ingredients here, some sort of rock, or maybe like root ginger or something like that, or maybe just some other kind of tuber, it's unclear. We get to see seahorses, we'll see those later on as well, sort of a bunch of grapes, chili. Again, we don't know what these do yet. However, we do know what these 2 things are going to do. We also get to see what appears to be some sort of monster part. I don't know. I don't know whether we're going to be using a lot of monster parts or whether this is just kind of like a one-off. Maybe it's not even a monster part. But again, it's harkening back a lot to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and the cooking system there. Maybe you can create smoothies that are unpleasant or that create more like elixirs rather than smoothies. How are you going to turn that into a smoothie? When we pause here, we can see that the fresh milk basically just gives you health, 13 health there, which is a decent amount, and it's only 10 rupees. It's an absolute bargain. However, we do see that the resistance to electricity from the Electro Apple seems to be negated by the fresh milk, because there's nothing in here about a resistance to electricity. So it's possible that certain items override others, and in this instance, it's the healing effect that seems to take precedence. We also get to see floral nectar, which basically just boosts the effects of other ingredients. Brilliant underlining, Alex. Top stuff. We can assume from that maybe the resistance to electricity of the Electro Apple would be enhanced in some way, maybe lasting longer, or being even more resistant. Here in the Zora shop, we get to see a number of things. What did I tell you? Seahorses. I told you they were in it. We get to see, obviously, the Zora's flippers as standard. We also get to see the same 2 potions we saw before. The red potion has got a little heart on it, and, red potion is always healing. but the motif on this is kind of, I'm going to have to clear that so you can see it again. The motif is it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make it clear what it could be. I'm really curious to see what that is. Is there an entire new mechanic that we're not familiar with? I'm excited. Oh, just very quickly before we move on, little Zora statue. From this screen, we get to see a couple of the accessories, including this one, the Zora scale, which gives you dive time up, which guarantees that diving is in the game. Otherwise, this would be a really, really rubbish accessory. We already know jumping's in the game because we've seen it, but the frog ring allows you to jump even higher, which is nice, and the heart appearance up, which basically increases the number of hearts that you will find out in the wild, which guarantees that you will find hearts out in the wild. The last accessory we don't get to see, unfortunately, is some sort of flower, but we do get to see this little icon here. And it's some sort of bag with a butterfly attached to it. You will see butterflies throughout the trailer. In fact, I'm going to have to go back and find it now, aren't I? So it's not that easy to see, annoyingly, but if you keep an eye over here, that is in fact a butterfly. Let me show you. Butterfly! It's not clear what the butterflies do necessarily, but it's clear that this is going to make them appear more often, because the symbol here is almost the spit of this one, only you're changing a heart for a butterfly. How about that? Actually, whilst we're here, it feels worth pointing out that all of the clothing does not seem to be anything more than cosmetic, at least as far as we can tell now, because all of the accessories have some sort of symbol, and there's nothing in these. Whoa, hold on there, guys, hold on! It's that blue bird again. No, in all seriousness, we see a load more butterflies here, which if I'd remembered that, I would have mentioned later on rather than scrubbing all the way back like I did. But even so, we see plenty more butterflies. They're flipper-flapping around. Butterflies. Now, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but please take note right now of tries. 4 tries back there as we move on. I'm not even going to cut it because it's not going to take long. Come on now. Try only has 3 tries. So presumably this whole boulder thing is going to be nice and early on in the game. At least that's a reasonable assumption, at least. We can't guarantee it, but it seems fairly fair. Again, as far as I'm aware, this is the only time in the trailer actually in gameplay that we see try with a maximum of 3 tries. Again, it's unlikely that there's been something spawned before, because as we can see in just a moment, when Zelda... Come on, get to it, I thought it was sooner. When this rock is spawned, 1 try gets taken away. It's as simple as that. Furthering this idea, this looks like a little cutscene, doesn't it? Saying, hey, this is how you do this. Wow! You've only got 3 tries because it's early in the game, baby. Not a big thing, but that's so ultra hand right there. It's interesting, though, that it does appear to snap. The chest snaps to the slot. So there's not necessarily going to be a lot of physics-based stuff here. It's definitely a little bit more stripped back, a little bit more straightforward than something like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, as one would expect. We get a look here at what appears to be, well, this enemy is clearly some sort of lizard-like thing. Let's have a better look at it, shall we? There we go. It's got a trident and everything. It could well be a Lizalfoss. However, this helmet, I don't know. That helmet, to me, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'll say Dialfoss, maybe? Hey, it's the urchin! Again, it's not really worth pointing out. What is worth pointing out, though, is these little snakes. We've not seen them in bloody ages. Again, going back to Link's Awakening. Kind of makes sense given the entire aesthetic of this game. But still, now we get to see the spider climbing all over things. As I mentioned before, the spider can just climb. Like, it doesn't need a climbable surface. We get another instance here. Keep an eye on the mole that's going to appear here. And again, the tries behind try. This is going to show once again that the tries get used and then immediately go back. Simple as that. Something a little bit spooky and worth noting if we go frame by frame here, or at least significantly slower. So watch the 2 temple guards down here, or at least castle guards. That's probably more accurate. So as we go forward, you can see... whoop, they get sucked down, but more interestingly, they appear to have gone a sort of a grey colour. It would be really handy if this guy fell down as well, because he might be a little bit more in focus. But he doesn't, unfortunately. It does look like he's going to, as you'll see, but it looks like he just manages to outrun it. We also get to see these differently coloured moblins coming out. Now, it's possible that these are going to lose their purple colouring and just become normal moblins. However, I don't know whether maybe these are going to be like super moblins or something like that. It would definitely be interesting, and maybe you can't use bind on them or something like that. Like these guys are immune or something. Again, I'm purely speculating, but Purple moblins. Now, this is an interesting scene. At first glance, I thought that that was a beard and that we had a male Gerudo. It's a hand. It's a hand. But we do get a glimpse of this interesting exchange. Now, it's entirely likely that this is the leader of the Gerudo, but who on earth is this? I must admit, the first time I watched this trailer, I thought this was another Gerudo, but I don't think it is. The hair's the wrong color for one thing. Somebody in the comments of our previous video suspected that this may be a member of the Zuna tribe. Which, if that doesn't ring any bells to you, you're not the only one. I'd never heard of it either. I don't think it's likely for a number of reasons. One, they don't look anything like the Zuna, and more importantly, all the traits and everything, just like the nose, the pointy ears, again, look very much like a Gerudo, at least modern depictions of Gerudos with pointy ears. I think it's just a Hylian, to be brutally honest. I think it's just a Hylian. I'm sorry if I burst anyone's bubble. I'm more than happy to be proven wrong. But scrolling back a bit just to get a better view, you can also see that's one of the entry points, as we'll see Zelda jumping into later on. No idea where it goes, presumably some sort of dark world. Oh, what did I just say? It's an entry point. Look at her. Watch this. Watch it. Look at her go. Watch this. Watch this. Jump! Off she goes, and so does Tri. Tri's a good friend. And that's about it. That's the whole trailer. Not huge amounts in there, to be brutally honest, but more than I anticipated, which is nice. Did we miss anything? No doubt we did, because we are only human, and it's only me, and I tried out this whole new scribbling mechanic for the first time today. Let us know with a comment down below, but for now, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you scribble over that subscribe button and tell me whether you like this new system, because I quite like it, and be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Subscribe. You better do it. Any maths fans out there will have worked out that 2 minus 2 is... Any maths fan...